Should you start with heavy body acrylics or fluid acrylics? I love heavy body acrylics. After years of painting, I've found that heavy body acrylics simply fit the way I paint and teach. Let me show you why. Before we go any further, I don't think that there's one correct answer. There are beautiful paintings being created with both heavy body and fluid acrylics. This is simply the system that works best for me. One of the reasons I enjoy heavy body acrylics is because they give me control. Paint doesn't have to stay the consistency it comes out of the tub. In fact, mine rarely does. When I begin a painting, I almost always thin my paint down. Those first layers are about establishing the painting. I'm looking at shapes, value, and color. As the painting develops, I gradually use thicker paint. Some of my brightest highlights and final details are almost straight from the tub consistency. Then, if I want to soften a transition, adjust a color, or apply a final glaze, I simply thin the paint down again. That's one of the reasons heavy body acrylics fit the way I paint. The paint changes as the painting changes. Another reason I really enjoy heavy body acrylics is because they work so well with my palette. When I mix colors, those mixtures stay where I put them. They don't slowly run together. And since I often keep my paint fresh for several weeks, I like coming back to those exact color mixtures I left on my palette. That's become an important part of my painting system. People often notice that I keep airbrush medium sitting beside my palette. This is one of the reasons why. If I want a smoother paint, I add a little bit more medium. If I want a transparent glaze, I add even more. If I want thick highlights, I simply use the paint with very little or no medium at all. This is really the point I want you to take away from this video. The most important decision isn't choosing between heavy body or fluid acrylics. It's learning to recognize the paint consistency each stage of the painting calls for. Once you understand that, you're no longer limited by the consistency that came out of the tub. You're in control. Can you paint beautiful paintings with fluid acrylics? Absolutely. Many artists do. This simply isn't the system I enjoy painting with. I like starting out with one paint and then being able to adjust it to fit whatever the painting needs. That approach has served me well for years. So if someone asks me which one I'd recommend, my answer is heavy body acrylics. Not because I think they're better, but because I think they give painters the opportunity to learn one of the most valuable skills in acrylic painting, learning to control the paint consistency. Once you understand that, one tub of paint can do an amazing variety of jobs. And instead of letting the paint decide how you're going to paint, you decide how the paint is going to work for you.